So this is the instructional video for the old St. Paul's paper model, and I've got the model here in its original page, and I've also got I've got some pegs and border clips there just to hold things together as they dry. I've got my little glue pot, just with PVA glue. It's quite important to use PVA for this model. Glue sticks are not going to work. Just some brushes, water for the brushes, and a little bit of tissue paper just to clean up any mess that I make as I go. So we're going to start with the model, and as you know with the instructions, we're going to basically put each piece together, and then we're going to join all of them together to make up the cathedral. So I'm going to start with the main nave. So popping these out of the page, you're just pulling away and hold the page down and pull the bottle part away, and it should just pop away. Some of the tighter corners you might want to be a little bit careful around, but with a little bit of pressure they will just fall out of the page. Like so. So I'll put the rest of that aside while I work on this one piece. Now with all the pieces we're going to pre-fold on the fold line so that the page has been scored. It's hard to see on the video, but you'll see it on your copy. So as we fold, just by pinching together, you'll see that it folds neatly down the fold line. And just make that reasonably secure, because just having it pre-folded is going to make it so much easier to put together. And we'll carry on and do the rest of the folds for this piece. So there we have it now. We have a pre-folded nave. So on each piece you'll see that the tabs that are going to be glued are all numbered. And we're looking at the blue ones. You'll see here we've got tabs 1, A, B and C. That means that these three tabs are going to be glued at the same time. And we find their matching numbers. Here's 1, A, B and C. And that's where we're going to glue them to. And then we're going to go on to 2 and 3 and so on after that. So just reinforce the folds and make sure that we fold it the right way, and do that. I'm just going to place it as if we were gluing it, and this is what it's going to look like when it's glued. And then open it up, and now we can just take a brush and just put a little bit of glue on the tabs. Just need to glue one side here, so try not to get too much glue. It's going to run over it now. What I tend to do is leave a bit of a gap towards the picture side, because that glue is going to run into that space anyway. And now push it up together like that, and then I just push in from the bottom to level up the base, and if you level up the base then the piece will fit in together. Now that's got to be held together while it glues, and the easiest way to do that is to go up one of the little pegs or board or clip, whatever you've got, just place that on there. And that, because of the shape of the model, is enough to hold all three tabs in place. Then we're going to leave that to dry. And what you might like to do is, while that's drying, you can move on to one of the other pieces that you've got to do. I'll move on to 2. So here's 2A and 2B and 2C. And again, much the same process as before. I'm going to fit it in place. Here you see where I haven't quite folded it well enough. And now, ready to glue. So again, just putting on a little bit of glue and trying not to put too much on. And because it will spread, and that will of course pick up dirt if it gets in the picture, so we're trying to avoid that. And again, using the base as a method of alignment. Once the base is in alignment there, then we're in the right place. So pop that on, and again, if you've got something like a peg or a board or clip, that's ideal too. Just pop that on, and that'll hold all 3 tabs in place. If you do need to push the wall out a bit, just push the thumb in behind and just push it out, just to align the wall there with the roof on top. Right, and again, we'll put that aside and let that dry for a little bit before we go on. And so once tabs 1 and tabs 2 have all dried, we'll just move on to tabs 3 and 4, then 5 and 6, 7, 8 as we go. And again, just making sure that the base is aligned, because that's just going to make sure that our pieces are actually in the right place. And that will give it a nice tight fit up the top here as well. So I've done tabs 3 and 4 together because they're opposite ends. And here's just a point. This is just what happens when you use it too much glue, as I've done. And you just want to get as much of that off as possible without smearing it. Just very delicately using a tissue just to remove the excess glue there. And once again, we're going to leave those now to set, just before we move on to the next ones. Okay, so once 3 and 4 are nice and well set, we're ready to move on now. We do recommend that you do tab 5 by itself and then tab 6 and tab 7. It's just that much easier to make it set in the right place. And once again, just hold that till it's done. So tab 6 is just this little one here onto the wall. And we are just doing this one at a time, just because we found that if you don't, you end up with it's not sitting in the right shape. So again, this one just needs to be held or pegged until it's dry. So once tab 6 is dry, we can move on to tab 7. Now tab 7, the first one's going to be a bit tricky because we are almost closed on that bit of the model, so just need to be careful as you're putting the glue onto the tab that you don't get glue on the picture. You also don't want to put it away because then you end up popping tab 6 off. You don't want to do that either, so just very carefully getting the brush in there and getting glue on the tab, but not spreading it around too much. And press it down. And again, we're going to wait for tab 7 to glue. Because tab 8 is at the other end, I can just leave that peg on there. So the shape of this piece, this is the baptistry. We're going looking for an octagonal shape. It's going to look something like that when it's finished. And so it's going to glue 8A and B in there to make that shape. You notice that tabs 8 are right next to tab 3, and so you really don't want to be doing this one until tab 3 is very well set. And you see that they glue into that hexagonal shape. So I have just pegged tabs 8, and it is actually easier to put the peg on B first and then on A second. So once those pegs come off, that is the nave assembled. Now what we can do just to tidy up a bit is these do tend to sit not quite perpendicular. And of course the old model isn't going to work unless this is actually a right angle, so at this point I'm just going to go around and sort of squeeze these folds and try and straighten the whole nave up. So wherever it looks out of alignment, and that'll be different each time you do it. So that's the nave now ready to be assembled.